Is having a boyfriend embarrassing? Today we unpack the viral Vogue article and find the truth behind it all. Hi. Okay. Hi, Anita.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay, it's always so weird when we get on and say hi because we just said hi before the recording. Um, okay, so this is the hot topic of the moment. Chantel Joseph has written an article for British Vogue, and the article is titled, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing? So I'm just going to read a little excerpt from it just to get us started. And she did some research before she wrote the article, so, she wasn't just randomly making up things. It begins, well, this is midway through. From my conversations, one thing is certain. The script is shifting. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It is no longer considered an achievement. And if anything, it's become more of a flex to pronounce yourself as single. As straight women, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with. So I'll just stop there. Yes.
What did you think? Because I know you obviously sent this over. What was your take on it all?
I was like, are the men going to riot?
I think they're
Um,
used to us slagging them off, so I don't know. It's probably nothing new.
Look, the thing is, my coaching brain was like, well, that's a narrative, and this is just a power struggle, da 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 da. And when we realize that there's no power to be had on either side, then we will find peace and equality and equanimity in our male female dynamics. That's the coaching brain. That's what I would say. The Candice brain is like, fuck yeah. So,
Go on. What does fuck yeah mean? Tell me
I
more.
mean, look, I'm obviously in a relationship and I love my partner. He's great. We don't live together. I haven't asked his permission to share anything yet, so I better be careful. So we don't live together. We have our own place. We have very different lives at times. And so I am, independent. But in saying that, he's been there for me when I couldn't work and I had to have some surgery, and he was very supportive financially and stuff. So that was great. But then, I'm back now. Wow, I sound like a terrible person. No, but and I'm back in my element and I feel confident and I can support myself and all that jazz. But I guess, I feel empowered when I am like supporting myself, earning my own money, having that kind of, I do feel like that's a bit of a flex. There's a construct in my head going, I don't need a man, even though that's not accurate.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah.
So,
Does
so,
that
so
make
what do you mean
sense?
that's not accurate? Yeah, yeah. So you don't need a man,
Well,
but that's not accurate? What do you mean?
there's some truth in it. There is
Mm-hmm.
some truth in it. I don't.
Okay.
Is having a relationship, been good for my growth? Yes. Yes. Um, I think, a lot of conversation that's come up with this article is if men aren't putting in as much emotional labor as women, what are they bringing to the table?
Okay.
If they're not, if you say they're not supporting you, you're independent, da, 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 the emotional labor, the emotional investment, the emotional evolution of self and relationship, a lot of people are saying, well, what are they bringing? So I don't necessarily know if that's true for my relationship, but that's the rhetoric. That's what women are saying. If we're doing this, we're paying for ourselves, we're looking after ourselves, all the material things. If we're doing all these things and then they're not even able to give us the emotional stuff, then what are they there for?
Right. And what does the emotional stuff mean? What's the reference? What are people referencing?
I think people are referencing, again, I'm talking about just from browsing
Yeah.
socials a lot. People are referencing the emotional investment, as in the emotional connection, the understanding love languages, the understanding needs and desires, the checking in, the emotional investment and work that is involved in maintaining a connection in a relationship.
Okay. And do you see these women talking from a triggered place?
I think some of them are, yeah, and because I get it, because that is a place that was in me, maybe still resides in me, not as much, but I do, yeah, I still have a bit of that in me, uh, and I do think, yeah, geez, oh God, we're stepping on, we're stepping on spicy ground. I mean, yeah, I think some of the women are triggered, but I also think there's a lot to be said for moving to this beautiful space of feeling empowered and understanding boundaries and owning our self and our desires and our wants and all of that stuff. So I think that the paradigm shift is there, and it's beautiful. Whether it's a matter of, well, we don't need men anymore, they're just embarrassing, I don't know. That's where you come in.
I mean, I read that title. I was like, oh, look at this.
I know. So did I. I was like,
This is an eye catcher, as it needs to be, right, as a title. And then I started reading it, and I was like, okay, no, this isn't going as hard as I thought it was. And then obviously all the other bits came in at the end. But I mean, it's, as long as one party is triggered, then that's not very emotionally intelligent either, right? So I think there's what we can talk about, the shadow aspect is the potential of what's missing within us as a human being, whether a man or a woman. What's missing in us is an expectation of what someone else should be doing for us, because we can't potentially give it to ourselves, right? So
wait,
I
so
get
what
the
you're
thing of,
saying
yeah, go on.
is, wait,
Yep.
the shadow self. So what we can't give to ourselves. So women are saying, well, I can give myself the emotional connection. I can give myself the support, the safety, the housing. So what is it that they're still thinking they like subconsciously don't have?
Well, if they're saying it and they're absolutely fine with their choices that they make in their life, like myself, right? There's a choice, there's singleness happening right now, and it's okay. I'm not sitting there bagging out men, right? That they're not. There's no good men in the world. How many times there's no good men in Bali, Bondi, London. Every place I go to, there's no good men in. And I'm there going, in the world, I mean, what are we saying here? In your mind? I don't know. What's
Got to be the world.
everywhere
No,
I
it's
go, it's
definitely,
about the
it's
place.
not you. It's not you.
Yeah.
It's the world.
It's the men in this place, wherever
Yeah.
place I'm in. It's I haven't gone to a place where they've gone, "Yeah, there's really good men here." I'm
That's
yet to find
hilarious.
that place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying within that is, if we're genuinely like, yeah, I'm doing all this, I'm emotionally supporting myself, I'm blah blah blah, yeah, I'm supporting myself in that, then that's fine. But if we're going, yeah, there's no good men here, black men are this, the stuff that we hear, and then we're claiming that we're the most emotionally intelligent people in the world, then, maybe there's something that could be missing.
Okay, okay, I get it. I get that. My coaching brain, my scientific brain says that makes sense. But if we look at if we look at if we did market research on men on the planet, right? If we did some research, what would be, I mean, would they really be as emotionally evolved as us?
Do they need to be, though?
Well, according to us, we want to be met in this way, and men aren't meeting us there.
So
So,
my question is, are we meeting ourselves first in the way that we expect to be met?
I think that's what the conversation is leaning towards, that women feel they are meeting themselves.
Well, I
And
see a lot of the comments as well on socials, and
yeah,
when I hear the triggeredness in them, I'm
yeah.
wondering how they're doing. Because to really meet ourselves, to meet each other, is from a place of compassion. And there's not a lot
Mm,
of compassion that is
yeah,
being seen in general. And I think this is again, like, I get told I'm a woman, a woman basher or whatever at times
yeah,
like this. But
yeah.
it isn't. For me, there's always a looking at the underdog's position. The underdog at the moment, where we're at right now, is the men. It's that
Mm-hmm.
they're the underdog right now, and it's going, okay, the only way that we're going to come into any equality that we want or whatever is by bringing the two into balance. So it's to go, okay, what's happening with the underdogs right now? And if we are the ones that are doing so well, then surely, we
Yeah.
can have compassion. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean we need to bring them up to anywhere, but we can, be okay within ourselves within that
Mm.
and be fine that they are where they are at.
But
You
given
know?
that they've been the top dog for so long, is it not our turn? And then maybe if they experience some underdogness, it might be a step in their evolution. And I'm generalizing for all men. I know not all men. Don't come at me, people. But it's, I wonder if this is the way it's supposed to happen, that
Yeah.
maybe so that awareness can be had by men. So women rising and coming into this really big place of feeling powerful, not from a lot of compassion. I get it. They're in their alpha, they're in their ego. There's no compassion. But, both needing this to meet here.
Sure, I totally agree with you. I totally agree that there's been the men as the top dogs now. As always, someone's got to come in and get their, as you say, their power back. But I think the thing is, with any of these situations in any dynamic that we, whatever's happening in life where there is one better than the other, the minute the other one starts to rise, they get a bit, it's not done in the most, I guess, in the healthiest way. So what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing is we're trying to prove a point that we're so great because we weren't so great in the past. And we're kind of like fake it till you make it, said with
Mm-hmm.
compassion. It's like we're not
Mm-hmm.
quite there yet, but we're still trying to prove something. So now we've got to bash the other side in order to really make ourselves look good.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the wars in the world. It's the
I was just about
same
to
with
say that. It's the
it's
same
the same thing.
paradigm,
We're just
you
doing
know?
the same thing, which is we're
Mm.
arguing our way. We're bashing the other side to make ourselves look better. And again, I do say this with compassion because we don't see that this is what we're doing. So we go to war at each other, hoping that this is going to bring us some sort of peace or joy or happiness at the end of it.
Mm.
And it's not really the way we've not got there with the wars are still
Mm.
happening. Babies are still
Mm.
being killed. There's millions still being killed to try and get to something. We're still not quite there with the method to the solution. We're
Yeah.
just kind of, it's not happening.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. That's what the rational part of my brain says. That it does. Otherwise, we are forever on this roller coaster as human beings. We're actually forever up and down and one upping and it's going to be exhausting. I think so. I do get that. I really, 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 really do. Um, I where I also understand where women's frustration is coming from. What do you think women need to do? Oh, they're going to hate this, to heal this shadow self that's coming up. Oh, it's embarrassing. And I have a son. So when I'm thinking about these, of course, I have a son. I've watched him grow. So I don't want us to be in a world where we're saying it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
no.
what do you think women need to heal within ourselves, within our shadow self?
I think that's, exactly the thing that we think that is missing in men is actually what is missing within us. That's
Mm-hmm.
the part. So the shadow part is where we're triggered. So if
Yeah.
we're triggered and we're going, they're so emotionally unintelligent and all the rest of it, that's us being very emotionally unintelligent in those moments. Because if we were emotionally
Mm.
intelligent in those moments, we would simply be having compassion for, and this sounds harsh, but for the man that's done something that hasn't been to the, greatest standard of our expectations. And this is where we really know where we're getting somewhere, where something's happened, say someone's cheated or something like that,
Mm.
and we are able to resolve within ourselves the pain that we're suffering through that. Is it bringing up abandonment, rejection wounds that may have been there a long time before? And this is the emotional intelligence, to be able to see the bad behaviors are not personal to us. If we're taking them personally, which of course we're going to, it's about going, rather than having all the hate on them, It's also seeing, where is this, where is this a part of me? And
Yeah.
and this is so tough. I know this is so tough for people to hear. And I do go for the hardest, some of the hardest things to go. Once we're at that level where we can, be within our pain, but also recognize that pain is probably something to do with an abandonment wound or a rejection wound, some sort of safety wounds that were
So,
there prior
well,
to
the
this
safety
situation.
wound is definitely something. I think women haven't felt safe in this world, in this paradigm, in this reality we're living in. And creating their own bubbles of safety allows them to feel empowered in this unsafe world. And yes, that's a narrative, and yes, that's a frame, and that's a story, but it's also quite factual, right? For a lot of people. Again, I understand that when you rest your attention on certain things, it amplifies it. And I do think when you start healing yourself, you do, and I mean, this is going to again trigger people, you do stop attracting the pain that you haven't healed. I know, because I went from bad relationship to bad relationship and kept attracting the same type of pain, and I couldn't understand why, but it
And the
was an
thing is,
unresolved thing in me.
and it's not that you're attracting the pain, you're simply re-triggering your own internal pain in the face of external.
Mm,
So we're not
mm.
attracting anything, we're just simply seeing behaviors that are familiar, and that's just awakening the thing that was already within us. People go, I attract this, I attract that. It's like you're not attracting it, you're looking for it because it's still unhealed within you.
Wow.
So it's different,
Yeah.
but we have this thing, I'm attracting this, you're not, it's just
Well,
there
I like
within
to
you and
think
you're
I'm
looking for it.
attracting,
Well,
abundance and
but this is
you
this is
know,
what everyone says, right? So
yeah.
why am I attracting this? It's not that you're attracting, it's what you're seeing, it's what we're looking for. It's those wounds that haven't been
Mm,
healed that are just constantly, there to
mm-hmm,
be reawoken.
mm-hmm.
And the same person could show up in your life a couple of times. Your pre healed self and your post healed self, and how you see that person is going to be different. So you haven't attracted them any differently. They're still them as they are, but you are different because now you've healed something that wasn't, that wasn't healed
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, and I get that, because the minute I healed something with one of my exes, I didn't even have the capacity to hate them.
Yeah,
I was just like, meh, and they were calling quite being aggressive, and what I was just like, yeah, gotta go, wish you well. And it's amazing, because I would have been triggered by them even doing that to me. I would have felt unsafe, I would have felt worried, I would have felt, but didn't even feel any of those things.
yeah,
And
that's it.
that was the moment I knew, oh, I've actually done forgiveness, I've actually done healing, I'm actually meeting myself with so much compassion and love that I can be compassionate and loving for people's unevolvedness.
And that's it. That's the important thing. And I do think that is like, you can have one person and then you can have one man, let's say, and you have two women, and those two women have a different experience and a different language of that same person. It just shows it's got nothing to do with the person. And they go, oh, but I think this about this person. The other person goes, oh, I don't see that. I see this. And it's like, you see what you see based on your own lenses, your filters, your own woundings and trauma.
And
So
what's
it's like,
interesting is that you're so right, because when you talk about attracting, you said we're not attracting it. It's what we're looking for. The minute you start looking for abundance and opportunities and amazing things to happen, I guess we interpret it as attracting. And for me, look, I'm holistic, so I'm always going to think there's a frequency there pulling things in. But also my attention's on that. My attention's on positivity. My attention's on goodness. My attention's on opportunities and abundance. So it's happening.
exactly. And that's the thing, as you say, it's like, there's, I guess the healthier you become, the more you have choice, right? Choice in firstly how you see someone, and also choice in whether that person that has appeared in your life, whether you're choosing to keep them there or you're not choosing to spend as much time with them. So that's where the attraction part goes. It's like, it's got nothing to do with the attraction in theory. It's got what, the amount of people that I've heard say, oh, I don't know why I did this. I was with them for ages. And then at 6 months, then they just suddenly changed. And I'll say to them, did you really not see anything earlier on? And they'll go, yeah, I did actually. Yeah. and I'm fucking stupid. I saw it on the first day I met them, or I just knew on the, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, what is it? What is it that kept you there? And you sort of, once you get to the crux of it, once they, get a bit maybe defensive about it at first, they will normally have some compassion for themselves when you get to the piece of they're lonely in their lives. They want someone. So in those times, they chose to ignore what they saw because what was a higher value in that moment was to not be lonely anymore. Yeah,
Wow.
to not be alone, to not feel unloved. They wanted to feel worthy, so they ignored what they ignored, and then they got to a point where it was getting a bit much. Now, honeymoon period over, whatever's getting a bit much, and so that's it. It's going, okay, if someone appears in my life and I'm genuinely okay to be on my own, and I've got my shit together and I can support myself and all of that, then maybe I'm not going to choose it. I'm going to see there's something a little bit, whatever, and I'm going to choose just not to go there. So again, this is not, are we attracting or are we keeping someone there when we can see there's maybe something not that great in them, but we're lonely, we want to be with someone.
But is it not factual that you'd find something wrong with everyone? And that's what's happening. People are remaining single for very long, extended periods of time and that's great. We're building careers, we're empowered, but we're choosing not to be in long-term relationships or even date. I know people that aren't even dating because there's something wrong with all of them. So
sure. And I think this is what it comes down to. Like I with all of this, what's the intention behind whatever you're doing? If a person is quite comfortable that they see that people have problems, they all come with a bag of shit, we all do. That's just the way it is. What do we choose? And if we're quite comfortable to not enter things because we can just see that and there's compassion for humans, then that's absolutely fine. If we're holding ourselves back because we've got some trauma and we really want to be with someone, but we're too scared to be, then there's work to be done there, right? So I think there's no right or wrong in anyone's situation or their choice or whatever their situation. But if they've got some, stuff running on the outside that's either keeping them in unhealthy relationships or stopping them from getting into one, then that's something to look at. If we're battling ourselves internally, that's what I look at within this. Anyone can judge a situation. Everyone's going to judge and have stories, individual stories based on their own stories about other people, blah, blah, blah. But internally, what's your own story? What's your own meaning? And what's your own, mindset? Are you okay to be single? Are you not okay? And that's the thing. Are you okay in this relationship? Are you not okay? And there's the thing to start really assessing what's the meaning making that I've got around my chosen situation. That's the thing to resolve, not the external.
Do you think articles like this are harmful? I know, I always make you the bad guy, don't I?
I think they're whatever they are to the person reading it. And I think that's, if we are, if we've got a very strong external reference where we put our trust in others and in what we read and all the rest of it more than within ourselves, then it will be harmful. But we are harmful to ourselves if that's what we're running.
But as a collective for women, given that, look, a lot of the population are still on the external validation spectrum, even me at times, which is why I get anxiety. So as a collective, can that sort of thing really?
So rather than it being harm, I would say rather than it doing something to someone, it's a reflection of where we are as humanity. The article is reflecting back. It's being taken from the collective. The majority of women, probably if we took the stats around it, will be running, thoughts about men not being great. The majority.
Yeah.
So the article is simply a reflection. As with any of it, we kind of think we're being, but all of the stuff that's put out there is simply reflecting back what we're putting out, and it's just been put into writing. So the harm has already been done regardless of it's like we talked about last time with the comparison. Is social media bad for comparison? It's like we already started comparing ourselves prior to seeing social media when we we're old enough to start being jealous of our brother, sister, cousin, whoever it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the damage has already been done.
Yeah. And I think you said last time, the cure for comparison is compassion.
Exactly.
And that was actually a really good point that I think it's pivotal. And I wonder if we come into this earth, I'll always take it with a holistic angle and the woo-woo stuff, but I wonder if we come into this earth to struggle with the comparison and the contrast to have the experience of coming to love and compassion.
Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly. For
okay, let me
ourselves,
just.
for them. And you know, something that, so I've got a lot of people that I know, whether it's friends, whether it's clients, that are in same sex relationships. And the question I love to ask the women is, do you think there is any difference in dating a woman? And a lot of them have dated men, right? Do you
Yeah,
think there is any difference to dating women and to dating men? And every one of them tells me about the dramas that they have in both of their, you know,
really.
I've not heard one person go, oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's so easy to date another woman or another man, if that's what I've not heard
because you
anyone.
think it's more fulfilling on a
What would
certain
be more
level,
fulfilling?
the familiarity.
But we're not the same. Me and you are not the same just because we're women. It's like, what's familiar? I don't know. I just don't. I'm like, this is just, this is the silliness of us. You put two humans
Yeah.
together with all of their traumas and their past unresolved stuff, and it's going to clash. And people go,
Mm,
oh, I should date women. You know, I have had, you know, I know people that have actively gone out to date women because they want to, because men are so shit, and have
yeah.
had shitty experiences with women. Like the same
Mm,
way, because we're still taking ourselves into those dynamics, our unresolved selves meeting another unresolved human being. It doesn't
yeah.
matter what body parts we've got. We're
Yeah.
still
So
gonna we
true.
clash ourselves daily. We're in our heads having a, you know, a judgment day every day. That we suddenly think because we meet someone of the same, well, there's coming with their judgment mind, judging themselves. We're two complex beings coming together, hoping that this is going to be the one that's going to be better than me, that's going to make it all okay. And it's like,
Yeah. And we're embarrassed of ourselves in our mind at different times. We have shame, we have embarrassment. Oh, I accidentally said that to this person. Oh my gosh. And and we replay it and we're mortified and so I guess yeah. And I think the article also sort of touches on how women don't want to post their partners on social media because, well, they're anticipating if it all goes to shit, they don't want to have, the humiliation of that. So I thought that was interesting as well.
yeah, very interesting. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely a stalker of seeing who's still together or not. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. So we
Yeah.
love a bit of gossip, don't we, as humans? It's like we're
Yeah.
all there for it. And
Well, the
yeah,
other factor in this is also that women, although we're coming together in this camaraderie of, yeah, it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend, blah blah. What women, when surveyed and researched, what women were worried about is how other women were going to perceive and gossip about them. So there's that was a big one, right? So we don't really have that camaraderie. We don't really always have that. So I mean, we're trying to build it. I think we're getting stronger. We're getting better at supporting each other, but that was still a primary concern.
I
you
get it.
know
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think there's that part as well. I was reading, I was going, you know, because I see this as well. Some people don't want to post their partner because other women are going to potentially try and go after the guy, right? I see this quite a lot when I live in these sorts of places where there's a lot of good-looking people around. People are quite wary to admit that they're dating certain guys because there's a fear that the girls are going to go after that. And I see it. I watch this play out because it's like, you know, if we've got some some childhood wounds of not being picked, of being second best, we want to know that the guy that's dating that really hot girl is also going to be, looking at me and being attracted to me as well. So there's all sorts of
oh
stuff that play
gosh.
into
And
it.
I guess, look, that's why when I read the article, look, part of me was like, yeah, fuck yeah, but then the other part was like, uh, yeah, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. And when we unpack it, when we start looking at the research and women saying, well, they're worried about being judged by other women, they're worried about someone trying to take their man, all this stuff, we realize that the issue is bigger. Yeah. And there is so much shadow representing itself in this statement. It's embarrassing to have a boyfriend in 2025.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, totally.
And
Totally.
it's fear.
Yeah,
It's more
totally.
like I'm scared of having a boyfriend in 2025.
Yeah,
I'm fearful of
absolutely.
having a boyfriend in 2025. I think that's the real word, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Because,
Absolutely. Yeah. We're scared too. And as a generalization, men are scared too. And I see this with a lot with the men that I coach, the men that I speak to daily, is, the single. I see a lot of single people. The fear of getting it wrong, the fear of, we say the fear of commitment, but what I really see, if we break that down, is the fear that I'm going to get this wrong. And if I stick with this person or I date this person, this is me for the rest of my life. And I'm scared that this is going to be the wrong
yeah.
decision. And that's what I see a lot of. It's like, as a generalization with men, women kind of are the clingers and men are the runners, in theory. The masculine kind of, want their freedom, and the women want the security, as a generalization, right? We could say that's more of a masculine feminine thing, so it exists in both of us. But a lot I see that, and this is the thing as well, it's like, when I coach people around this, and people don't like this, but it's like, if we didn't go so long term with it and we just stayed with the now, then maybe relationships would work out a bit better. But if we're constantly going for, this has got to be the one and this has got to be the rest of my life, then we are getting ourselves into a lot of trouble. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, people go, oh no, but you can't just have a relationship and say you're going to be with someone and then you break up with them the next day or whatever. Well, yes, if we could accept that more, we wouldn't be as pained as much. But because we're so tied to the commitment that's made in the past, it's like, if you change your mind, it's an absolute disaster. It's like, we're not allowed to change our mind once we've made this commitment to this person. But actually, if we gave ourselves permission to go into things a lot more easily, rather than this has to be the rest of my life, then maybe we've got a better chance, because we're not then, living on the edge that if we made the wrong decision, or if we mess something up, this is the rest of our life messed up. If we could just go more with the flow of the daily, stuff that comes up, and we keep communicating about it, that would, prolong relationships more.
And what's interesting is, I think the fear thing is huge. We're scared of what's happening with the climate, the future, the wars. We're scared of getting to a relationship. It's just all fear,
All fear.
and it's this umbrella fear that's happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's really like, when we peel this back, embarrassment was always the wrong word, wasn't it? But you knew that from the start. I just want to ask you a couple more questions. Okay. Now, what she actually said when she was writing the article was that when she sees someone posting with their boyfriend, with their partner, she unfollows. I found that really interesting. Like, what do you think that's about? I mean, I don't have that. I love seeing love. I love, even if they're going to break up. I enjoy it.
Did she say any more? I couldn't remember. Was there any
I
more that
don't
she?
have that here, but that's what she
Yeah.
doesn't want to see, a woman going on about her relationship or her partner, and all this and that. When she's seeing a woman just killing it on her own, she feels better, and and I don't know if that pertains to her situation as much, but what is it about seeing other people in love that makes us, oh, I'm just going to unfollow? No, you look happy, you look successful, you look, especially if you know them. Easier to follow a successful stranger than a happy, successful friend. And let me tell you, that's a fact.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. As the comparison thing that comes back in. I mean, I would need to ask her, right? We'd need her here to be able to understand,
Yeah, that would be great.
what it is. I would assume if she's that triggered, which it sounds like she might be if she's unfollowing them, then maybe, yeah, there is something within her that's lacking of something, and it's hard for her to see that. I don't know. Sometimes people can be quite hard about unfollowing and blocking and all the rest of it. That's usually pointing to some sort of, something going on, it, however angry or, hard they may sound in their delivery of their reasons for it. There'll probably be something more tender and more vulnerable on the inside that's playing out for them that makes it hard for them to be able to to watch other people in love. That could be my only guess. I don't know. But yeah, I don't
Do
know.
you
Yeah.
think that women are choosing independence over intimacy? So this hyper independence is making us pull back and not want that intimacy?
Potentially, I don't know whether it's not want it. It could be a mask for it. Depends. I always say this again. If someone's really triggered in that I'm independent, I don't need anyone, blah blah blah, all of that, then they're probably really wanting the intimacy, right? And that's just
Yeah.
their cover for it. So I don't know. I hear this a lot for people when this is something definitely for a lot of men is their defiance in I don't want a relationship. I don't want to, I want to be single and all of this, and then they're out dating and they're out, with loads of women and all the rest of it. And I just sit there and it's kind of like I'm sitting there and waiting for them just to get in a relationship and just to completely mismatch themselves in what they're defiantly telling me that they don't want. Yet they're going out and doing the very opposite of that, which is meeting loads of women. So it kind of suggests that there's something that they want. And I think ultimately what this comes down to, is connection, right? We're ultimately all wanting and craving connection. Yeah, that's the very thing that is missing for us. And then we're not finding it out there. It's not being found out there potentially. We're not getting it with the person that we think we should be getting it from or hoping that we get it from. And then we get annoyed and then we get independent or we get defiant that we don't want to be with anyone. And if we could just get to the vulnerable part of us, it's like we just want to feel, and what does connection even look like? Really what it looks like, if we really, got to the spiritual part of it, is we want to be more connected in with ourselves. We want to be thinking less. We want to be torturing ourselves less daily with all of the judgments and comparisons and what we don't have and what they have and all the rest of it. We want to be more connected in with our breath, our silence, the true essence of us. And
The
this is the
peace,
sad
yeah.
thing, that we think we don't understand this, so we think it's got to be out there, and then we upset ourselves and don't want to be with them and hate them, and they're all this because we're not getting the thing that is
But then
here already.
so how do you distinguish if you seek the connection with yourself? And obviously I understand this, I understand what having source connection is, what that beautiful piece is like, I get that. So how do you know when it's time to leave a relationship because you're not, it's not working? If you're supposed to continually be in compassion, continually seek the connection with yourself, how do you then leave?
Will you leave? How do you know to leave? It's when you've left, right? If
How
you're
do you
telling yourself
know?
you're going to leave but you're still there, then you're not done. When you're done, when you've left, right? That's when you're
But
done.
the done, right? So we're seeking connection with ourselves. We go, okay, I'm connected to myself, but then we're still in this relationship and something's not working. Then what?
Well, if you're truly connected in with yourself, if you've truly, got all that happening, you probably would have gone if it's not working that well. If he's still there and it's still shitty, then maybe you haven't quite found that connection point. You're still hoping that they're going to, provide something.
Yeah. So if you're connected with yourself, you'd make the right aligned decisions for your life. If you're not
Sure.
connected with yourself,
You'd be like, I love you. I'm just not here for this anymore. And I love you. And, I don't hate you for anything. And this is what I've said to so many clients, in the past, as I've seen things. It's like, because I have a lot of clients that will come into coaching and they're like, I'm doing all the work. I'm so much more evolved than them, blah, blah, blah. And they're ranting. And I'm like, in this moment, you are not more evolved than them. What I'm hearing two people suffering a lot. Like, you're both struggling right now. I understand that you may be doing the work, but for you to really be doing the work, and this is not, I don't say this discompassionately, but is for you to go and communicate with them. And once you have communicated in a non-blame way and been completely vulnerable and honest with how you are, if you're not getting from them that level of whatever, and you know that this isn't what you want anymore, you will leave, and you won't hate them. You will just know that you are done. You're not slamming the door and packing your bags and going, fuck you. You are literally like, I love you.
yeah.
I love you, but this is not working anymore. And this is not, And it is that classic thing. It isn't you, it's me every
Yeah.
time, right? It's
Yeah.
always me.
Yeah.
Whether
And
we're
I think
angry,
most
whether
women,
it's always
yeah,
me. Yeah,
most women have it's fuck you, I'm packing my bags scenarios happen or happening so often that they don't realize there's another way, you
for
know.
sure.
So,
And I had
and
one
then,
client sobbing her eyes out as she heard the line, relationships don't relationships can end, but they don't have to end ugly. And for her that was like, what? Because all
yeah,
she'd ever known was ugly endings, and they
yeah,
don't have to be ugly.
no,
If we are truly, within our own, whether we are a man or a woman, this isn't, I'm not talking about women, but whether
mm,
we are a man or a woman and we are working on ourselves, and we get to a point where we've worked on ourselves enough that we are actually okay to hold the dysfunction of that person. We're okay with that. It's unusual, but, what mostly will happen is someone will, get to the point where they are done, but in a way where they're compassionately done. They can see this isn't working for either party anymore. They can see that this is, they have grown through their shit, and now,
mm,
they're
mm-hmm,
leaving from a really genuine place of I'm no longer. But most people are on the same level, arguing, being angry, thinking you're much worse than me. You will know when you can leave something calmly and lovingly that there's
mm,
the sign of the work. It hasn't ended ugly for you.
mm. That's interesting. And that's, I mean, I think that's where all of this also is coming from, these articles, is that the way women have left or had to leave relationships has been so painful that it's left this, this residue of, everything's embarrassing. Well, really, you're just scared.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Some people have also said that the feminist angle on this is that they're saying, well, being in a committed relationship is seen as giving up a piece of your power. What power? She's going to say, where is it? Yeah. So what is your take on that? I think for me, I see that as someone, or a collective, feeling like they were powerless, and so they have to hold on to this illusion of power, and they think it comes from not being in a committed relationship.
Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, totally agree. It's just it's meaning making, right? It's if you've got into a relationship and you feel like there's no, well, it's like, what's the choices that you've made to, yeah,
Mm.
to not feel like you have power. No one can take that away from us.
And another thing that came up was like, well, we could just practice radical love,
Mhm.
because we're in such a hyper individual world. We're so individualized by our experience that we're not practicing this radical love.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
to get to radical love would be just, yeah, world changing. So it's a beautiful concept, and hopefully we can fake it till we make it, make our way there. But we're a long way from that. We're a long way from, as we look out into the world, we're a long way from genuinely being in a place of, and this is what, I say a lot with this. If we could take away, we talked about this last time as well, but if we could take out the piece of taking things personally, then we would get over relationships so much quicker than we do.
mm,
Because most of the time, we're not grieving the person, we're grieving the personalization of what you have done to me. And that's what
oof.
lasts for years, years,
Say
years.
that again. Say that again. Say it again.
So if we could take out the part of taking it personally when the relationship breaks down, we would get over relationships much quicker. There's these things of going, it takes
Mm,
half the time of the length of the relationship, or it takes, I heard someone say yesterday, my psychologist said that it takes 3 years to get over, or whatever, just these stats that are like, It takes
Yeah.
whatever it takes for the individual, dependent on the amount of work that they've done on themselves, right? To
Mm.
get over it. And this is the thing, whenever I'm coaching anyone through, breakups, whatever, we're not coaching to the relationship as much as we're coaching to the rejection, the personalization, the abandonment. We're coaching to the childhood wounds that felt that pain way before the end of this relationship. So that's what we're coaching to, because if we took out the part of, if we didn't have any wounds going into relationships, then the breakups
Yeah.
would be much easier. But all we're doing in the process of a relationship is regurgitating, reigniting the stuff that was already there. And we kind of go, oh, I'm fucked up because of my last girlfriend, but I hated it so much. Everyone's got a story about their last relationship that's messed them up. A lot of people have. It's like, it's not your last relationship. Let's go back further. Let's go back to your
Yeah.
relationship with your parents, for example, with your siblings or whatever. And that's where we start.
So just to recap on that article, having a boyfriend is embarrassing in 2025. We're reframing that, where it's having a boyfriend is scary for me. I'm fearful because I've got all these stories, these patterns, these conditioning running through me. And actually what I'm saying is I'm scared. I'm scared of being hurt. I'm scared of being abandoned. I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of what people will say. I'm scared. And that is the true story of this article. Yeah, is that?
Absolutely. Love that. Absolutely. Yes.
Do
I
you have any? I mean, we could talk about this for days and days.
would.
Do you have any final thoughts on this topic?
I think this is something, for me, that is one of the biggest disappointments that we have in life, is our expectation and delusion of what a relationship should be. And this is said with such compassion, but it's our greatest downfall, is the romanticizing and the hopefulness of this thing that I don't see people living. And it's like we have this thing that, yeah, okay, I look around, people aren't having great relationships, but mine, I'm going to find the one that is going to be different. And I
Yeah.
don't see people finding the match of their, of this thing. And it's really sad, because as I hear people, they talk about what they want, and it's beautiful, right? Manifest, and we talk about what we're going to manifest and all of that. That is often the best conversation I hear them have about a relationship. And then they go into one, said with love, and it's not that. So it's like, as much as I love it and I think it's great, and I don't mean to be, a real Scrooge around this, it's not real and it's not reality. And if people are wanting to go into a relationship, know that you're not, as long as you're suffering inside and as long as there's judgment running and there's hardness, you're going to potentially meet that and have the potential of working through your stuff with someone. Otherwise, we want to run at the first sign of anything, because it doesn't match this false expectation that we have in our mind about how something should be.
So if we all let go of the false expectation and meet the reality of our situation, which is created in our head by our stories, then we'll get to truly meet ourselves and maybe find peace and less suffering in relationships.
Yeah. And know that relationships are going to be hard. They're going to be beautiful, but they're going to be hard as well. I don't hear anyone just having a beautiful relationship with ourselves first.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you're not having a beautiful relationship, I don't hear anyone having 100% beautiful relationship with themselves. That's what you're taking yourself into, and that's what you're going to be meeting. So rather than thinking it's got to be some sort of level of perfection, can I, become more perfect, let's say perfect, by doing the work with another imperfect human being? Make that your dream of a relationship. Can we do this together? The couples that are really, when I have people coming into coaching that are very new in a relationship, it's like what's that? Married at first sight, whatever.
Yeah.
That one. I think that's brilliant. Oh my God. I mean, I know it doesn't,
Yeah.
of course they're not going to work out. These people go in, oh my God, I've been matched by these experts. It's like, yeah, all right, whatever, no one is going to save us, whatever. But it's like, what a great opportunity to meet someone as soon as you've met them, to be going into you
The
know, doing
stuff.
some work, some coaching work together. So how amazing is that? I think that's the great, you know, people think it's a problem when you, because usually we're a bit late by the time we're getting into it, but to
Yeah.
be doing it right from the start, amazing. That's the relationships that I'm like, this is great. So
Yeah. Wow. Well, this has been amazing. I think we'll definitely have another conversation on this and elaborate a little bit more and
it's
dissect it
good.
because I think it's a big topic.
It's a big topic.
And
We
and
might
and
even bring someone in to interview them, eh, or something. I don't
yeah,
know.
we
Could we do
need
that?
someone.
I know. I think anyone that's watching, if you've got any really strong, let's put this out there. Let's have someone in if they want to join us and
Yeah.
give us their perspective, or maybe their, you know, what's happening for them in their relationships, or, you know, anything that we've said here today that I've said that
Yeah.
you completely disagree with. You've got a beautiful relationship, or, you know, you're in a same-sex couple and I've got it all wrong, you know, because I only know what I know
Yes.
based on the information that's been presented to me, right? So quite happy to definitely be
Yes.
wronged
Anita
on
loves people that disagree with her.
love it.
She loves it. I like to watch on the sidelines. I'll be adjudicator.
Adjudicate.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you so
Yeah. Thank
much.
you. That was awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.